All right, today we're diving into the pretty wild thesis of Nathaniel Merritt's book, Jehovah Unmasked. It's a book that completely flips the script on the Bible and the identity of the God of the Old Testament. So, let's get right into it.
So, the whole argument of this book really boils down to solving one of the oldest questions out there, the problem of evil. You know the one. If God is all-powerful and all-good, then why is the world so full of pain and suffering? Now, religions have wrestled with this for centuries, but this author claims the answer isn't some complex philosophy. He says it's been hiding in plain sight in the Bible this whole time.
The author basically lays out this classic logic puzzle. Either God wants to stop evil, but he can't, which means he's not all-powerful, or he can stop evil, but he just won't, which would mean he's not all good. But here's the twist. The book says there's a third option, an ancient one that forces us to question everything we thought we knew about the Bible's story.
To build his case, the author takes us right back to square one, the Garden of Eden. He argues that this foundational story has been completely misunderstood, and that the first clue to unmasking Jehovah comes down to a simple question: who told the first lie?
And right away, you get this major showdown. On one side, you've got Jehovah's warning to Adam and Eve, touch that fruit and in that day you're dead. But then the serpent comes along and says, no, you will not die. In fact, you'll become like gods, knowing good and evil. I mean, it's a direct contradiction. Someone's telling the truth and someone's lying. And the author says, let's just judge them by the results. So, what happened? Did they drop dead that day? Nope. According to the text, Adam lived to be 930 years old. And what's more, the Jehovah entity even seems to admit the serpent was right, saying that humans have become as one of us. So in this interpretation, it was the serpent who told the truth, and the being we call Jehovah who told the original lie.
Okay, so that's the first pillar of the argument. The next piece of evidence is maybe even more controversial. It challenges the entire idea that the Old Testament teaches monotheism, the belief in only one God. The author argues the text is actually saying something very, very different.
And the key to this whole thing, he says, is a single Hebrew word, Elohim. Now, it's often translated as the singular God, but the word itself is plural. Its literal meaning is gods or mighty ones. The author points out that using a plural word to refer to a single being is a huge red flag that something else is going on.
And then the book just starts hitting you with verse after verse. Things like, who is like unto thee among the gods? Or, the big one, the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Think about it. That doesn't deny other gods exist. It actually confirms it. You can't be the God of gods if there are no other gods to be God of. And the author claims the Old Testament is packed with examples just like these.
So what this all points to, according to the book, isn't monotheism, but something called henotheism. That's the belief in one chief God that you worship, while still acknowledging that other lesser gods exist. So in this view, Jehovah isn't the only God, he's just the top dog, the one presiding over a whole assembly of other divine beings.
Okay, so if Jehovah is a liar and just one of many gods, what kind of God is he really? To figure that out, the author moves on to analyzing his character, and he borrows a standard of judgment from the New Testament itself. He uses that famous line from Jesus, "Ye shall know them by their fruits." You know, actions speak louder than words. You judge a tree by the fruit it produces. So the author says, okay, fair enough. Let's apply that exact same logic to the God of the Old Testament. Let's look at his actions, his fruits, and see what we find.
And when he starts to look at those fruits, the character profile that emerges is, well, it's pretty intense. He points to stories where Jehovah hardens Pharaoh's heart and then punishes him for having a hard heart. Or that really bizarre story where he just randomly tries to kill his own prophet Moses. And then there's the jealousy, which the author describes as a defining, almost obsessive trait. The book basically compiles this long, troubling rap sheet of actions that seem tyrannical and violent.
And just to show how serious this is, the book doesn't shy away from the really, really tough verses. This quote from Hosea, which is a punishment decreed by God, it's presented as Exhibit A for a fruit that is pretty hard to square with the idea of an all-loving, all-good father.
So, you add it all up. According to this author's reading, we have a liar, who is just one of many gods, and who seems demonstrably cruel. The big question then becomes, who or what is this being? And this is where the book proposes its final, truly mind-bending solution, pulling from the ancient tradition of Gnosticism.
The author introduces this Gnostic idea of the Demiurge.
Now, in Gnostic belief, the Demiurge is not the ultimate true God. He's a lesser, flawed, divine being, sort of a cosmic craftsman who built the physical world. And this craftsman is often described as being blind, arrogant, and super jealous, wrongly believing that he's the one and only God.
And there it is. That is the core thesis of Jehovah Unmasked. The author concludes that the violent, jealous, contradictory God of the Old Testament is not the true God, the loving Father that Jesus spoke of. He is the Gnostic Demiurge, a flawed creator responsible for a flawed creation. And that, the author claims, is the real solution to the problem of evil. The world is full of suffering not because the true God is cruel, but because its immediate maker was imperfect.
So in the end, the book is offering more than just an argument. It's offering what it calls the key of gnosis, the key of knowledge. The idea is that if you read the Bible with this key, distinguishing between this flawed demiurge and a hidden true God, all the contradictions suddenly make sense. And it leaves you with this one final, provocative question. If this key is real, what other doors might it unlock?